but it's a way where the tarot starts to become its own statement of truth, but not particular truth, like universal truth. So if we go to like the Corpus Hermeticum, or we go to the Upanishads, or if we go to the Bible, there are certain statements that kind of they really compact a huge amount of wisdom in like one or two sentences. It's almost like a direct jolt from the universe. A very popular one is "You are that," right? Thou art that. Um, or when God says to Moses, "I am that I am." Like these very truly hyper inclusive at an ontological scale statements that just even if it's just for a moment jolt us into that recognition of our true nature. Tarot for the most part does not do that naturally. It gives us a much more scenic path, and it gives us a lot of material to play with. But I've been experimenting with methods where I call it the tarot mysticism process, where, especially the major arcana, when looked at them holistically all at once, the overarching essence of the card can perhaps jolt us into that moment of, oh, here I am. And that I amness is the exact same thing that's on the top of the magician's hand, and it's the exact same thing that's on the bottom of the magician's hand, and in all of his tools and it's the exact same thing that's the exact same water that's flowing through the high priestess. But what's so cool is the major arcana give that I am presence a little bit of emotion. It gives a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a, ooh, there's something going on here, which is what I call the logos. But in doing that, when we can use the tarot for that, whatever we're going through, whether it's like a trauma or something we're upset about or a physical, like it kind of puts that into perspective, and I find it expands us beyond whatever that difficulty is. And then we rest in that peace for as long as we can.
Cool. This is the Strange and Mysterious World, Season 4, Episode 8. And today's guest is a very interesting guest. He calls himself the one-man band of magical thinking. He is a tarot master, or I should actually say guru. I think guru is a better word than tarot master. He's a teacher, coach, healer, and occult performer. He is also the founder of the Tarot Mysticism Academy, and it's the one and only Joe Monteleone. I've been following some of Joe's. Actually, I subscribe to his channels, but Joe's yes, he's very good at. Fuck, tarot, bloody hell, dude. There's no one better. I actually haven't come across anybody better than Joe, to be honest.
Yeah, and I've also been dabbling in a bit of tarot lately, and also when I started looking for classes on YouTube, he was by far like one of the most comprehensive and best person out there. So I was really impressed when you got him. So
yeah, and when I chatted to Renee last week, because remember Renee we had on with last week's episode, and afterwards I actually went and I saw her. We had a whole long discussion, but I actually mentioned that we're bringing Joe on, and she knows. She actually also subscribes to him.
Oh, cool!
I think
nice,
so.
Man.
I think that's what she said.
Yeah.
We know him very well.
Oh, that's cool, man. And yeah, I also wanted to take his class because he's got a lot of cool classes as well, how to read tarot and that.
Yeah, it's a lot of free stuff though. Eh? He's got a lot of free classes.
It's incredible.
Lots of free classes, and he's got a lot of stuff that he's actually gone and designed that you can print for yourself, and you can keep like a diary and a journal. I should say not a diary, a journal, which I printed. There's a whole lot of other stuff as well that you can get as well. So like, yeah, really, really keen to have everyone.
And also, what's cool about his thing is with the other tarot people, they hold up the cards and they're only like this big on the screen, so you can't really see which card it is or what's on there. But he's printed them like they're massive, so he holds them up and it's like this huge card. So you can pretty well.
Otherwise, you got my size cards. It's like small.
Oh yeah, she's
like my mini deck.
Yeah, be careful when you're looking at them too close, you don't swallow them.
No, cool. Anyway, let's bring him on.
Okay, so there he is.
Yeah, geez, how did you get onto this, Joe? I mean, there's so many videos on YouTube of your stuff, and I must say I was so impressed because a while back, William and I, because this thing we've been doing for almost 2 years, the YouTube stuff, and we bring on guests that, we had a Satanist on, we've had, we've everybody that's got something strange and mysterious in this world, we have them on, and of everything.
We're not proud of the Satanist.
We've never had.
Just wanted to hear what he said.
Yeah. But we've never had a tarot, and it was like funny. We were having a look because I've got a deck. I've got a very small Rider White deck, like very tiny, and then I got myself a Necronomicon deck, which is it's quite a weird thing. But and I thought, just I actually know nothing about these things. I've had this one for ages, and then I went and Googled, and I saw your name pop up, and I just saw video, and I thought, fuck, this is actually cool. And then you got like free stuff. You got freebies, which I thought, hey, this is cool. And you explained it so nicely that it was like easy to follow. And I thought, fuck, this is actually really cool. So back to the beginning. How did you get into it, Joe? How did you start this whole thing?
Yeah, so this all started actually with my stepmom when I was very, very young. She had the idea of us getting tarot readings at this fair that we were at. And so I sat down and I got this reading from this woman, and she told me that I was going to grow up and marry a blonde woman and have 3 kids. Now, none of that is probably going to happen. There's still time. Who knows? I can't say for sure. I would be very surprised if any of that happens. But the reading, just her ability to pull the cards and talk, it amazed me. I was like 10, 11, 12 years old, like the youngest person, like way too young to be getting a reading, but I'm so glad I did. Completely blew me away. So I went home, and then all I could do was talk to my parents about tarot and witchcraft, and I went into that whole journey and got obsessed with it, and finally got my hands on tarot cards. And my favorite thing to do was go to the local New Age store and just look at tarot cards and look at books on magic, and it was kind of my obsession since. And then it kind of splintered off into all the other traditions and things throughout my life, and it's always been an underlying way that I operate my life, the way that I view the universe through tarot and its many related traditions, and it just kind of grew from there.
Okay.
Wow.
Just as you've been doing it since then.
Yeah. I mean, like, as a kid, doing what I could as a kid, like trying to memorize meanings and read for anyone that would sit with me for a few minutes. But yeah.
Okay.
Wow. But you very well like versed in every like alchemy and like hermeticism, and I mean you bring in like so many like elements from so many like traditions and that. So it seems like you well versed in the occult, and like what is like what was the most interesting path? Like, did you follow Wicca and then go like Rosicrucian and Theosophy, or did you get all of them? Like, what was your journey with all of that?
Oh, that's a fun question. Oh, that's so cool. So I think it's kind of a labyrinth because I will circle back on different traditions, but I would say tarot is number one, and then I had a kind of a detour into Wicca, Scott Cunningham kind of stuff. And then from there it went into, I went to school for dance. I got a BFA in dance and had a dance career. So I was doing a lot of choreography about some of these like topics. It kind of went more into the occult, kind of Golden Dawn, ceremonial magic. Kabbalah was a big one for me. When I hit Kabbalah, it was, so some of these traditions, I don't know if you both have experienced this, you probably have, where you kind of learn something and it just feels so nice on your brain. Like it's almost like you're remembering it. And I'm not going to say like, oh, I was a rabbi in a past life. Definitely not going to say that. But when I found Kabbalah, it was like, oh, totally. This makes absolute sense. It was just comfortable, like the tree of life, the Sephirot. Maybe it's my ADHD brain and the modeling tendency that a lot of neurodivergent brains have. But that was a big one for me. And then that kind of accelerated the whole process into magic, ceremonial stuff, general Western esotericism. Then eventually the Thoth deck kind of came after that because I knew it was coming, but I didn't know it was like, I knew it was coming, but I wasn't ready for it yet. And then one night I just felt a sense of like the number, like I could feel the numbers in my body. I could feel the elements. And I was like, okay, this feels like enough to start going into the Thoth Tarot. So then I went into that, which brought me into Crowley and Thelema, and then sex magic and crazy secrets and what are they doing? Oh my God. And oh, it's actually not that bad. Wait, is it bad? Hold on. Am I gaslighting myself? No, it's chill. It's fine. And then like OTO such a wormhole. And then I did like quite literally a 180 going from Western esotericism to Eastern mysticism, which has been an interest in a lot of my life. Like Zen, Buddhism has been things that I've kind of looked into, but not like seriously studied. I think my next big break was because I've always had a non-dual natural, like I would say my like resting default brain is kind of looks at the world in a non-dual way. So when I learned about like when I was very young, like the idea of Maya and the concept that everything we experience are really just names, forms, and functions, that to me was like, oh, another moment of course, that makes total sense. Like that's so obvious. Everything is a name, form, or function that's happening in this nothingness of whatever is, right? So when I started reading into these non-dual traditions, like especially Advaita Vedanta, the Upanishads, it was another moment of like, oh yeah, this is it. But every moment, it's like I get the sense of, oh, this is what I came for. This is the most epic shit ever. Oh, this is the best. And then I find something else that like kind of trumps it. So,
Oh, wow.
but but
So,
yeah,
so
then personal growth stuff too. I did like in there was a detour into like the coaching world and self-development, which I'm also a personal growth junkie, so there's that in it too. But yeah, it's been a lot.
wow. So the Golden Dawn, I mean, were you like a member of that, or were you just getting stuff off the internet? And the same with the OTO. Like that's Crowley. Crowley made the OTO, right? Were you a part of that like organization or whatever? Did you go to like a place where you had like service? I don't know what you would call it, but or did you just gather that all offline and books and stuff like that?
Yeah, I was very solo, very DIY, very esoteric vagabond for a while, just kind of doing it myself. The Golden Dawn I don't have any formal connection with, but I just kind of studied, read the books, tried some things, uh, experimented. OTO I'm technically a part of, and they're wonderful. At least the branch near me, the Lisis Lodge, they're so great. And it's so funny, like you see, you go to something like the OTO and you think you're going to meet a bunch of weirdos. And I thought I was going to meet a bunch of weirdos, and they were the most normal people I've ever met. You go to like church, you think certain churches, you think you're going to meet a bunch of normal people, and then there's a bunch of weirdos. It's so
Yeah.
interesting how we have expectations and the universe surprises
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
But yeah, my local lodge, they're really great. They're very supportive. So yeah, OTO was a interesting organization that Crowley kind of like snuck in and did this whole Thelemic remix on. So there's like stuff from Freemasonry, but then there's his own original Thelemic, which is his religion, that he kind of developed or was the mouthpiece for and kind of remixed. And yeah, so yeah, it's been a fun journey. I've met a lot of great people.
No,
So,
fantastic, man.
so Joe, tell me, man, with regards to your tarot stuff, how is it that you have so much? I mean, if we going to chat about tarot, we'll probably be able to do maybe 2 podcasts and that's it. But you've got so much information, and it's very rarely it's ever repeated. It's always like different stuff. I mean, where do you come up with half these things? Because I mean, it's like okay, okay. Answer that question first, and then I've got another question with regards to tarot and sleeping with a. Somebody said, you know what? If you want to get to know your tarot deck, take a card, put it under your pillow, and then sleep. And then whatever you've dreamed, you must make a note of it, and then that's got something to do with the tarot. Is that true? Do you think that's something that could work or not really? Because the way you
It,
describe it is very different.
yeah, that so I find there's kind of, if we want to look at it like two very different approaches that are very wide, and there's many methods and tactics in these approaches, but one approach is kind of the see what shows up approach, and one approach is I'm going to construct this myself approach. So when the see what shows up is like putting a card under your pillow, seeing what dreams come, pulling a card of the day in the morning or maybe at night to reflect. Some people would say it's better to pull it at night, and kind of just seeing how life and dream and the inherent material of your lived experience is going to, however, that's going to populate the cards and build relationships with the cards. It's really interesting how that can happen, and I'm all for that. That's a very lively approach, and there can be a lot of self-investigation and inquiry that happens with that, which I think is beautiful. On the other side, there's the kind of I'm going to construct this myself approach, which for some might feel less intuitive, for some might feel more academic, depending on how you approach it. I kind of like this latter approach because I like to kind of construct a model of understanding of whatever I'm doing. So for me, in my journey, that was doing a lot, and this kind of links to the first question. It kind of has to do with like a lot of reading and synthesizing. And so to kind of synthesizing, building the model. So what is it? The tree of life? Is it the 12 zodiacal signs? Is it the elements? Is it the numbers? Is it the typologies of the court cards? Character like avatars? Whatever it is that you kind of vibe with, building that up. I think the way that I get so much information is, well, one, I can fixate on something, dive into it, be obsessed with it, and be completely saturated in that thing for like a period of time, usually up to about 3 or 4 years at the max. And then I kind of do that again with something else. The payoff is everything else in my life. I'm a total airhead. I have no idea how to do anything else. So I'm always good at like one or two things. But I think that, and this might be really good for the listeners as well. I find that for me, the way that I synthesize the information and have all of it at my disposal so easily is really learning the model of whatever that is, which I think tarot specifically, but perhaps Western esotericism in general kind of does. So for people who like putting information in models, whether it's graphs or like flowcharts or like a system, I think the esoteric tarot, at least in the way that I teach with Hermetic Kabbalah, is great because there's all these correspondences, symbols connect. There's a place where everything fits really nicely. There's a dark side to that as well, but the positive side is it fits very nice for the brain, for the logical brain to kind of, play with.
Because when you read tarot, do you use a lot of intuition, or do you go off like it's a mathematical model of symbols and visual? Like we had a guy on for astrology, and I went for an astrology session with someone, and it was like it felt like it was half mathematical and half intuition. And then he said, when we interviewed him, he said, no, it's all mathematical. There's no intuition in it. It's a very mathematical model. And then I was like, well, then why don't they just put it on AI and AI just takes over because it's like a lot more clever model than that. And then I was thinking, because I was getting so excited about reading tarot, but then I was thinking, but geez, because I was also using ChatGTP. I'd pull a card and then I'd like ChatGTP and say, like, what does this card mean? And then I'd say, like, this is what I was thinking when I pulled it. And so what does it mean if I ask this question? And it gives me like really good results. And I was thinking, but geez, now all the tarot card readers and astrologers are going to go out of business because now you could just put it on a website and they can it'll just do it for you. So with AI. But so I mean, what do you think about that? And I mean, do you use a lot of intuition with it or?
Yeah, so two big things with that. On the intuition and then on the side of professional development and AI is such a fun conversation. In terms of intuition, so there's another kind of two camps with this. Most people, I've worked with a lot of people, I've taught like a lot of people tarot, and what I find is most people will veer towards one extreme or the other. And one extreme would be intuition, the other extreme would be the mathematical approach, or what I call a systems-based approach, or just like knowledge, information.
The logical approach.
Yeah, totally. So you have people that go really into the extreme of the intuition, and they're kind of like finger painting with energy. That's not really right. I can find a better way to explain that. But they're kind of playing. It's like jazz, right? It's like if you know, maybe either of you are a musician or you know musicians. There are musicians there where they don't need to study the first thing about music theory. They hear the song, they get on the piano, they play it just from their ear exactly as they heard it. And that is their intuitive approach. Now they can be an amazing musician and can really succeed that way, and that's wonderful. Then you have musicians who are so geeked out into the music theory, which by the way I think is its own mysticism. It is so deliciously geeky. It shows this like the harmony of the universe and sound and frequency and all these patterns. That in itself, it's very logical. You might say it could be kind of scientific but others might find it rigid. There's that approach. So tarot is the same thing. You can have people that are extremely intuitive, that kind of just flow with it, riff on it, and get intuitive hits, and then people that really study the structure and the history and the system and the meaning of the symbols. what I try to do is, and especially with my academy, when I'm working with students, is to help them in both ways. And so a lot of times what will happen is my students who are extremely intuitive, they're see the downside of that is sometimes they're out of their body. Actually, a lot of times they are, and they need a lot of grounding, and they need a lot of like being more in their body. And so they can kind of ground themselves with a structure, with more, in some ways, information, with order, with logic, with studying the cards. People that are very more, less intuitive, sometimes they'll want to be so focused on the meanings and the structure and the systems and that side of things. I help them kind of loosen up and open up their intuition. But what I'm finding now, which is really fun and interesting, is how it's kind of like a laser beam between two mirrors. Both of these will accelerate each other and activate each other, and that's really where you want to be, because there's really nothing like getting to the point where your intuition can, like jazz, riff on something that is so theoretical in music, but you know the theory and you know how to riff and you know how to be spontaneous and play. So that's great, having both of those worlds to expanding each other.
So an
So
AI won't be
basically
able to do
combining.
that.
Yeah.
But when AI won't be able to do that, or I mean, what do you think of the AI aspect? I mean, do you think that's
Well,
more?
it's so interesting. I don't know the first thing about, like, I mean I use AI a little bit, like, and I'm very curious about it, but it's AI is itself a predictive thing, like, from my understanding it's predicting these tokens that they think is in some ways the most logical that would appear. So in a way it is literally doing prediction. It's doing exactly what we do when we read tarot without even reading tarot, like on its own, in its, like, inherently in what it is, which I think is interesting. But could it replace tarot and astrologers? I think not, because though um, it can create a sense of empathy. It can create an artificial sense of empathy for a lot of people. People are going into psychosis with it. That is the thing. I
Mm,
don't know if that will ever fully, I don't know if it will ever achieve that level of human empathy that we get when we work with a tarot reader or astrologer that's really helping
yes.
us. And I think there will always be people that kind of, it depends on the person and the consumer, but there will always be a consumer that takes something like AI too far, just like with any technology that's going to happen. But there will always be consumers who value working with people. And
Yeah.
I don't think that value will ever end. I think if anything, it will increase with things, eventually. I think a lot of businesses are going to be using all types of AI for everything. We're going to be calling customer service and banging our heads against the wall, like hours talking to AI. What the hell? Like, humans are going to be
Give me
like
a
the new
human.
thing in 10 years. It's going to be like a special experience.
Yeah, I was like, wow, they made that by hand. They actually thought about that. A human made that. But it's funny you say that. I mean, not funny. It's like it's true what you say, because when we interviewed the astrologist, I was asking him. I was like, how come it's so expensive to see an astrologist? It's like 1,300 rand. And when I go to see my GP, that spent like a few million rand studying to be a doctor, and he did it over 10 years, and never mind the cost of his living and his res and what, and now the doctor's only charging me 500 rand, but now I come to an astrology thing that you've learned, like people learn in a year, and they've only spent like 10,000 rand like learning it, and now they want to charge 1,300 rand. And then he was like, yeah, well, it's like seeing a therapist. And that's actually how much people charge for it. I mean, even though therapists, they would study for a lot longer, and it would be a lot more costly. I'm not saying the one's like more knowledgeable than the other. I mean, I'm just saying that it's just, if you had to put it in perspective of how much money you're paying to get but so yes, what I'm trying to say is people do want to see the human being on the other end because it's like therapy, So I mean, that gives me a bit of like hope for it. But when I do a chat TTP reading on the tarot, it's pretty good, eh? I'm really impressed. It's pretty
Yeah.
scary.
It's fun. It also makes me think, like, okay, well, how do we get better as humans at this? Like, I'm always thinking, like, especially with tarot and astrology and these disciplines, like, how do we take it to the next level? How can we use these tools to really even better optimize ourselves, our well-being, our like quality of life more so, because ChatGPT and AI is obviously catching up, and in some ways may do certain things better. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. We'll see what happens.
I've got a slightly different view on that. In that, for me, ChatGPT, as much, because you must remember it only gives you what it's been fed. So somebody down the line has fed it some information, and it's using that information that it's been fed to give to you. Where you've got your mystical stuff like your tarots and your oracle and the where's that crystal ball of mine. But when you've got all those things, ChatGPT can't do that stuff. It's that is more like a spiritual type of work that AI can never, ever, ever replace. It doesn't matter how much information it's got and how much information it's trying to give you. It can never replace that spirituality, because AI can never get spirituality. It can never get there. So I think that's my take on that thing. I would never use ChatGPT in that way, because of that sort of thing. I don't mind using it in other ways, like if I'm busy writing a book and I need a specific paragraph to be written for me, and I say, listen, I need this idea. What do you think? And it will give me something, and okay, I can work with it. But spiritual wise
Totally.
and occult wise, I don't think AI can replace any of that stuff, to be honest.
Totally. And it's so interesting. Like, I think, AI, like so many products, are geared for a lot, not all the time, but for a lot of time, it's to help people resolve pain and make people feel good. And a lot of spirituality does that as well. But I'm kind of like thinking, well, sometimes when I'm working with, a lot of times when I'm working with my students, I'm not always thinking like, I want them to feel good. I want them to develop the skills, knowledge, do the healing, whatever they need to do to feel good on the long term. So not just right now, but like do the stuff. And that takes I don't know, that takes something else, at least in my view, in my experience. Because like, especially with mysticism is where, the cool thing about mysticism is that's where logic breaks. And so ChatGPT can absolutely describe a lot of information, but there is something to be said about what happens between teacher and student. And, maybe it's spiritual, maybe it's energetic, or maybe it's just simply the sheer existential confidence that the mystic has, or the sage has, or the guru has, that falls upon the seeker. That I don't think ChatGPT can do, because it just doesn't have that confidence, or that doesn't have that awareness. I mean, maybe it will in the future. I don't know, but it appears that that's not the case. But we'll see.
But that's also like you're describing like maybe like a Shaktipat or whatever. Like, when a guru transfers energy, but through like I don't know if it's like, however it is, it's not actually it's like knowledge that's transferred through like an energy. Like in the old mystery schools, I mean, nothing was ever written down because a concept had to be realized, so if you're writing it down, I mean, even Plato was saying that writing was the end of like our society, or I forgot what he said, but he said that once stuffs get written down, it becomes a material, and then it's no longer like a realized like thing, and they actually, even I think Socrates and Plato, they were against writing. I mean, I think it was them. I don't want to be like people getting angry, like he got the people wrong or whatever, but so that's, and also if you say, like, if you write down, if you're trying to give like an idea to someone, and you say, yeah, and you write down cat, now I'm thinking a lion, and the other person's thinking a Siamese house cat, so it's like now you've got the thing wrong, because it's in a word, it's written down in material, so you can't actually transfer it through that experience. Knowledge through like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a Shaktipat. Like when you go to a guru and you want to get like a Kundalini awakening, and you've been meditating for 20 years and you can't do it, and you sit with him and he just like taps you on the forehead, and boom, you suddenly get awakened. It's like a transfer of that energy, and that's wisdom.
Yeah, and it's so fun to. I don't know a whole lot about philosophers, but I was just like researching Derrida the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, Derrida was on that thing. He was kind of reminding everyone, hey guys, by the way, the language is futile. We're not getting the full information when we're reading stuff. You really have to listen to a philosopher live, echoing that, the whole semiotics of it. But yeah, we hit these evolutionary thresholds of like, okay, writing, and then Plato and everyone's like, oh shit, now we're really going to go downhill, and then it was the internet, now we're really going downhill. Oh, AI, now we're really going downhill. But things continue. I always wonder if like the single cellular organisms were like to the multicellular organisms, oh shit, we're really going downhill now. But totally, yeah, it's like there's always like a pro and con to all of this. And
Joe, I want to ask you a question. So I'm on a path currently now of recent that's on the healing side of things. So all came about probably about a month ago when something happened, and now I'm on that path. And I recall you saying that you can use tarot as a healing tool. How do you do that? How would you use tarot as a healing tool?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways. Let me think of the best way to kind of go about this. Okay, I'm going to talk about three different ways on two different kind of levels. Well, I'll talk about three different ways. I can talk about four different ways on three kind of levels. So there's a mechanical plane that I talk about, which is the kind of traditional use of tarot, and that's the expected method of we're going to pull cards, we're going to divine something, we're going to get information. And that information could be from our subconscious, God, the divine, our higher self, and that's going to give us information about what's going on in our life, where we were, where we might be, timing, experiences. It can definitely be predictive. It doesn't have to be predictive. But it's there's divination, and there can be something healing to that, like bringing things up to the surface. For some people, that's particular. Well, actually, this goes on to level two. So, in level two, what I find, at least how I structure my curriculum when I teach my students, there's this place where the tarot becomes less so a tool to pull cards and give information, and more so a set of symbols to build relationships and interact with within your own self. And so, what happens here is very interesting. There's a lot of ways to heal. We can heal somatically in our body. We can heal psychologically. We can go to therapy. We can, like, a wound can heal with cellular. Like, there's so many different ways. In the level two, in this kind of subtle plane, what people can start to do is start to heal through symbolism. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. So let's say, somebody has a very specific trauma. Um, what's a fun example? Okay, planes. I hate flying, right? I have some stuff around it and I get very nervous. I don't like flying at all. I used to love it. Don't love it anymore. So there's many ways I can heal that, right? One way I might like look at pictures of planes and like suffer through it and let the feelings come up, which, by the way, very effective way. There's a lot of somatic healing around that, and there's therapies around that. I don't know. I'm not a therapist, but there's that. But another way is like, what if instead of going right into the plane, what if I work with the Six of Swords and use the energy and the information of the tarot as an intermediary to more gently go into it? So instead of working with the plane, I'm working with the Six of Swords, which is about travel, and I'm thinking about the energy of the number six. And if I've built a strong enough association with the number six, and I can really feel that number six, which connects to Tiferet on the Tree of Life and the sun and all these associations that tend towards harmony and balance and light and ego as well, a sense of self, then I can really feel that. And then I add the layer of the swords. What is swords? The mind, travel, technology, and then I add that association. And so if I can build that relationship with the Six of Swords, it's another way into what I'm afraid of. It's another way into kind of facing that through symbols and associations. And you could do path working at this level too. So you pull the Six of Swords out and imagine yourself on that boat. Boats are another thing I don't love being on either. So it works totally well. So path working is really good. And there's a lot of things that can come up from this. I think this is particularly good for people who have, whether it's trauma or I work with a lot of people. I think a lot of people interested in tarot and the New Age especially, but I think tarot as well. They tend to be people who like to be in their heads or be kind of in their inner experience as opposed to their full body. So, for better or for worse, right? People, they're very creative. They're very sensitive to energy. So for a lot of them, the journey is getting back into their body. The tarot allows them a map, a system to explore the things they want to heal without directly going into it or directly going into the body. So that's one way. And then the third way that these are things kind of I teach in my like level two area where it's all about the inner world. It's all about that inner duality, the psyche, the symbols, and in some ways the somatic experiences we have around things. And then on the third level, which is if we were to talk like straight mysticism, I find, and this is something I'm actively experimenting with in how I teach tarot, and as I observe people kind of learn this, it's more of an experimental thing than like a solid codified thing that I've developed. But it's a way where the tarot starts to become its own statement of truth, but not particular truth, like universal truth. So if we go to like the Corpus Hermeticum, or we go to the Upanishads, or if we go to the Bible, there are certain statements that kind of they really compact a huge amount of wisdom in like one or two sentences. It's almost like a direct jolt from the universe. You know, a very popular one is "You are that," right? Thou art that. Um, or when God says to Moses, "I am that I am." Like these very truly hyper inclusive at an ontological scale statements that just even if it's just for a moment jolt us into that recognition of our true nature. Tarot for the most part does not do that naturally. It gives us a much more scenic path, and it gives us a lot of material to play with. But I've been experimenting with methods where I call it the Tarot Mysticism process, where, especially the major arcana, when looked at them holistically all at once, the overarching essence of the card can perhaps jolt us into that moment of, oh, here I am. And that I amness is the exact same thing that's on the top of the magician's hand, and it's the exact same thing that's on the bottom of the magician's hand and in all of his tools and it's the exact same thing that's the exact same water that's flowing through the high priestess. But what's so cool is the major arcana give that I am presence a little bit of emotion. It gives a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a, ooh, there's something going on here, which is what I call the logos. But in doing that, when we can use the tarot for that, whatever we're going through, whether it's like a trauma or something we're upset about or a physical, like it kind of puts that into perspective, and I find it expands us beyond whatever that difficulty is. And then we rest in that peace for as long as we can.
Cool. And I
Wow, and is
suppose,
that like, sorry, you go for it.
no, sorry, I was going to say, I suppose, like if you were doing a reading for someone, I think this is probably where intuition might creep in. So if you pull the card, for an example, and uh, perhaps swords, as you said, to do with air or mind, and all of a sudden you've got this feeling like, I don't know, there's a blockage somewhere, something's wrong. You know, maybe some of the swords have fallen, and you're saying to yourself, "Hold on, something's wrong with your mind. Yeah, you don't seem to be in the right place." And he says, "You know, shit. Actually, you know, I've got a bit of a mental problem, and blah 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 blah." And then obviously the other cards that you start pulling will lead to maybe the healing of the mind or how to do it. I suppose this is kind of just an intuition kind of talking. If you're pulling cards, you're now trying to intuit what's coming through from the cards for the healing of that specific process. I don't know. just
Yeah,
guessing there.
absolutely. So yeah, there's a lot. One of the things I've been working with my students on is kind of intermediate and advanced ways to take what's showing up and change it. And so like you pull a card, maybe you pull the Eight of Swords, and like that woman who's like bound behind the swords, it has to do with overthinking and imprisoning yourself and self-sabotage and doubt. And so one could like go into the card, imagine being like surrounded by those swords, and take the action to take off the restraints and remove the blindfold and walk away and have that image happening inside. Another way you can do it is feeling those energies in the body and letting those energies resolve. I'm very big into just somatic healing in that way. Another way we've been exploring is how to take the associations and change them. So, for example, and this would require a knowledge of the tree of life and all those associations, which for anyone that doesn't know who's listening, it's a map of reality, it's a map of God, it's a map of consciousness, it's a map of everything that is pretty much. That's
That's
the
Kabbalah.
crudest way to describe it.
Yeah.
But like you can map out, like if you're on the tree of life, you're in Hod, which is a sphere of emanation, and you can say, okay, well, if I want to get out of here, I can travel up a path to Tiferet, right? And that path to Tiferet is the sixth sphere, the sixth emanation, which is beauty. So if I want to go from the Eight of Swords to the Six of Swords, how would I get there? You take this path, and the path is actually the Devil card, which is really interesting. And so by working with the Devil card through meditation or some type of healing, you can go from Eight of Swords to Six of Swords, which totally makes sense because the devil is the constant figure imprisoning us by our own minds and all of that. So,
but I think it's all a healing process, because when you go see a tarot reader, it's like seeing firstly a therapist, and you come in there with your problems, and they're laying it out for you in symbolism and imagery, and like all of those cards, you can find all of that inside you, or anything going on in your life, and they'll show you in a pattern like what are your major problems, blockages, or whatever, and then you can contemplate it. Like when you go see a therapist and it's talk therapy, and you kind of like working on here, like, oh, that's it, that's what I got to let go, that's what I got to get through, that's what's blocking me, whatever. And then it's so it is. I think it's all healing. Like, I mean, even if you're doing it at home and you're just pulling it for yourself, you read it, and it's
some guys go there. Some guys go for future. I want to know what my future is. Am I going to get married? Am I going to be rich? Am I going to have all? Hopefully, you're going to give me this good reading. I'm going to have all the money in the world.
You get a blonde wife with 3 kids, but you just end up becoming a tarot guru.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I wish I could see that psychic again and thank her, because she was great. She was.
But it's usually like when you get a good reading, when you're like, oh, they're spot on. Now I'm into this. But you got a shit one, and you're like, oh, now I'm into this.
She put you on the path.
I know.
She put you on the path.
Maybe if it was a good reading, maybe if it was really accurate, I wouldn't be interested in it.
You'd be too scared. You'd be like, nah.
Yeah, but no, you're right. There's healing in all of it, in absolutely all of it, on all different levels. Yeah, every step is. I mean, I think hopefully everything leads to more awareness. So yeah.
Yeah, but I find it. I actually get worried. It's a bit of a crutch, because like now I with my tarot deck, I'm like want to ask it everything. Like I'm like, do I take the job? Do I take this job, or do I take that job? What is going to stop me? Because I'm a freelancer, So like I'm like, nah. I'm like, okay, well, so I can't like go through my life without asking a question. So it's like I gotta stop that, and I tell myself like, no, just have reverence and just maybe ask one question every 3 days or something, because now you're getting like totally hooked on this thing, and you can't. But then it's also scary, because again, I don't want to take a bad card, So then I'm also like kind of scared to do it, because I'm like, geez, well, what if it goes?
There's no bad cards.
Yeah, I suppose.
Just your interpretation.
Right. Yeah, but I want the card that I want,
Totally. Yeah.
So, but anyway, the back to the thing where you were saying that the major arcana, it gives you that aha moment where I am what I am. Because I always thought tarot was just, as you said, like a divination. Well, actually, I thought it was satanic when I was younger, because like, in Christianity, anything that's a bit outside of it, they're like, no, that's satanic. But the thing is, it's a Christian mystic that what is it? The Waiter Wrights, wasn't he a Christian mystic?
Rider
White.
Yep.
He was a Christian mystic that actually made that the most popular deck of tarot ever made. But then also when I got into the whole mystic thing, then I got into Kabbalah, and then I heard, meditating on the tarot. You got to meditate on tarot. That's like where you unlock everything, because of the symbols and everything in the cards. You can unlock, huge mystic like realizations about yourself and the world and everything. And I was just wondering, like, how do you meditate on the tarot? But then I started going to bed every night and just like staring at I'll just draw one card and I'll just stare at it and try and memorize everything in it, and then go to bed. While I'm going to bed, I like try and picture the card over and over again, try to think what it means. Like, if the person's wearing a glove on the one hand and not a glove on the other hand, I'm trying to think, why is that? Why is it looking away? Why are the sticks covering his face when he's trying to go towards the town? Like, I'm just, I'm trying to figure it all out while I'm going to bed. And I think, is that how you meditate on the tarot? I don't know, because I buy these books and they're so thick, like Meditation on the Tarot, and it's like some of the stuff I don't even understand. But so how do you? So I want to feel that I am and I am. Like, how do you meditate? Like what you're explaining. How do I get there?
So there's two ways. There's two general approaches, but there's so many different ways. But I'll talk about it in 2 ways. So with my students, when I bring students into like the level 2 part of the curriculum, there is a lot of meditation. There's a lot of studying of symbolism and all of these different things. So I first got to stress this. the simply studying the material, studying the tree of life, studying the astrological associations, studying the symbols, symbol and association are the glue that brings it all together. So just studying it, bringing it into your own mind, to me is, you know, it's study, right? It is like beta wavelength or whatever, but there's a little bit of contemplation, because what happens is over time, the information settles and connects. That's not going to happen right in the beginning. But for me, like there were many moments where all of a sudden, like the Hebrew letter Zadi with the star, like I would feel Zadi. I would feel the number two. I would feel the element of water, or I would experience it in a I don't know, multi-experience way. So there's that. And I think sometimes people are waiting for like this crazy exotic mystical experience, but sometimes it's just the mind bringing it all together, all the folders and all the files. So there's that stage of it. Now, once those files and folders are together, then, you know, what I'll do with my students is we'll do some path working where we'll actually go through, I'll guide people through a meditation that I'm specifically pulling certain symbols for certain reasons, depending on what I'm feeling for the group. And so we actually did one not too long ago, and I don't remember the exact, we took a fun, interesting path through the tree of life. We kind of did like a zigzag. And one of my students afterwards was like, you know, Joe, I've been trying to write this book and I've had no idea where to start. And after that meditation, I know exactly where to start now. And that wasn't something that I gave to her, but her own connection to the symbolism and the associations were just connected enough where that gave it to her. Now, I'm also going to be honest here. You know, we could look at, I don't know, like we could look at a stain on the floor and probably do this as well if we had enough focus and concentration. I just think tarot's more interesting, right? Like we can have this active imagination with anything, like a pile of trash. We can look at it and we'll see God in it. I think I'm stealing from Lon Malo Duque. Like if you look at anything long enough, you can see God in it. But you know, tarot is just a fun thing to do it for, because it's kind of it's this historical train wreck of all this esoteric stuff. So that's one way. But the tarot mysticism process, that's something I'm actively still experimenting with. And what I've kind of settled on is using the associations as connecting points. And instead of association, right? We pull a card, we have an association, a symbol comes up, it makes us think of something, and then we get the information. There's a journey there from point A to point B, right? Images, associations, memory. There's a lot of intuition is much more than like it's many things working together. Our senses, all of our senses, our memory, our deduction. So the tarot mysticism process, the way that I'm kind of exploring it now is, and this, I don't really talk about this in my book because I'm still working on it, but it's kind of like what happens when we collapse the association, which is a very Zen thing to do. I mean, Zen will look at the whole tarot deck and just throw it in the trash. But it's like, what if we start with the journey and then feel the journey and then collapse it all in one? And the way that I collapse it is with the word is, with the word to be. So for example, like, what would be a fun example? Okay, I'll use the example of the high priestess. The high priestess on the tree of life connects Keter to Tiferet, which is essentially the Godhead with our higher self. It's a long road. So in an active meditation, we might go through that path and experience this journey from what we feel is our higher self to this light of Keter, this light of the Godhead, and that can be very beautiful and trippy, and we can have all these experiences. But with a more direct approach, instead of a path going there, it would simply be that this higher self is that Godhead. That Godhead is the higher self, and it collapses the two. It's so much simpler. But that goes into the direct path where then the image of the very image of the high priestess disappears, which for a lot of people is not as fun, right? Because they like the part of their pull to tarot is the imagery. But yeah, I'm still researching that and seeing how that shows up.
But I mean that symbolism is like very powerful, because like I've been doing these Rosicrucian studies, and there's a part of the thing where I'm in it now, and it has a symbol after every like through the curriculum, like certain chapters have certain symbols on them, and I've been going through this thing, and I always see the symbol, and then the other day when I was driving, I was kind of had this concept in my head, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, that's cool, whatever. And then when I went to my next study thing and I was reading, I went to the back because it explains what the symbol is, of that particular section that you studying, and I was reading this what the symbol means, and I was like, what the f? I was driving a few days ago, and I had this exact thought, and now I'm reading what the symbolism of this thing is, and I'm like, geez, so it must have like seen it all the time, embedded some kind of subconsciousness into me, but the thing is, it's so subtle, and you have to catch it, like, and that's why if you have to meditate and stuff like that to be able to get that when it comes, to be sensitive enough, to be aware enough to when it comes to grasp, get it, and not suddenly think about, oh, geez, there's a nice girl walking on the side of the road there, like, and then you've totally distracted, while you're driving past.
That's it. That's exact. So that right there, it's these like, and because they're not always these big dramatic things, right? They're so subtle, and to me, it's almost like, people really like to talk about the Akashic records. To me, it's like we're tapping into the pool, or my partner's got me into David Lynch recently, like the ocean and the collective unconscious. But we tap in, and it's like, it's almost like we give ourselves the lesson, the information ourselves. Actually, sometimes it feels like we create the knowledge. It's almost like we're like, it would be cool if this made sense like this, or this meant this, and all of a sudden it becomes a truth, and then we read it somewhere and we're like, wait a sec, exactly, yeah.
Yes, but that's also what Plato said. He said everything it's a realized. You think you've got this extreme like a realization. It's not a realization. It's just you are remembering.
Mm-hmm.
It's just remembering. Geez, sorry, my computer's.
So what's it, David Lynch? You follow Twin Peaks? Are you a Twin Peaks fan?
Yeah. So my partner and I, he got me to finish it, and I was like, oh my, this is so good. It's very, there is a Twin Peaks tarot, but which is really cool. But even before that, like, it's so like the whole polarity between the whole show, like you see it in the tarot with the towers and the lovers and the devil, and it's this constant polarity that's happening in the meta nature of the show. Oh my god, it's so good, so fun.
I'm assuming you've seen the last season, where everybody's now a lot older. Yeah, it's a lot.
Sorry, my computer.
That last season is like really, really dark, which is good. I like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was wild. We actually just saw Ray Weiss and some of the other actors. They were doing a tour thing, so we just went to see them. But yeah, it's really something. Stuff like that that has that meta ingredient, yes, that's kind of starting to seep beyond the medium that it's in. I think that's one of the biggest tools for mystics or seekers. Like anything meta is really helpful to.
But a lot of people don't actually see that. A lot of people, they don't actually see the hidden meanings. It's only the people that have kind of been delving into that stuff can see, oh, okay, this represents this looks like that looks like this. And David Lynch is really one of those people that delve into that type of stuff.
Yeah. It took me some time. I had to ask my partner a bunch of questions and do some research, but it's worth the work. I mean, it's like anything. It's worth the work if you put it into it. The realizations are so fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
But geez, Joe, we're going to have you on here to talk about the history of tarot and your favorite tarot deck and what the Thoth deck is, and we've talked about so many other things that we didn't even get to that. Which is probably better though, I don't know.
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool. I must say, Joe, it was really, really cool having you on. Oh, but before we end off, how do people get hold of you?
Oh, so there's a few different things. I would say my biggest thing that I feel like people are getting the most value from is my YouTube channel. So that's youtube.com/Joe Monteleone. But if you search Joe Monteleone Tarot, you'll find me on YouTube. That's probably my biggest thing. My website is tarotmysticismacademy.com, and that has information about my whole academy and my curriculum and different courses that I'm doing. And also that's where people can download a lot of my free guides. I have a bunch of them for people that want to start reading tarot.
Yeah.
And then any other social media is usually Tarot with Joe. So Instagram and TikTok is both Tarot with Joe, and probably whatever else I create or not create. But yeah.
Yeah, yes, it's
cool.
been really fantastic having you on, but seriously, really, really cool.
It was very
happy
cool,
you came on.
Maybe we
thank
can
you
do
both.
another one.
It's really such an honor. This is fun.
Yeah.
So maybe we can do another one sometimes where you talk about the history of tarot and like, I don't know. Is that boring or is that cool? Like
I'd love
some people.
to. Yeah, it's fun. It can be geeky, but it can be really interesting. Like some of these occultists are so petty and silly for people that are very smart. Like they do some silly things. It's a fun geeky thing to get into. I would love to. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I would love to talk about that.
Cool, Joe.
Awesome.
Cool.
Great meeting you both. And thanks so
You
much
too.
again.
Yeah, you
Fantastic.
too,
Thanks,
man.
Joe.
Have a great day or
Bye-bye for
evening. I
now.
don't know.
Cheers,
Cheers,
man. Cool.
Oh, that was awesome, man.
Yeah, very lekker. Very, very nice, man. Got to start
Yeah,
reading
nice.
this bloody tarot deck properly now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
No, cool, but we'll bring him on again, hopefully.
yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
And yeah, Lisa, I wanted to ask you when you went to Renee the other day,
Yeah.
because in the 2 episodes ago we spoke to Renee, and she said you had healing hands, and then you phoned me the other day, and you were like, "I'm busy healing my dog." And I was thinking, like,
I'm busy healing my
thank
dog.
goodness you moved on from beetles to dogs now.
Yeah,
So how's it going there?
the visit was actually pretty cool. I went out to a place. It's like about 15-minute drive from me. We actually sat down for about an hour and a bit. We spoke. I kind of told her a little bit about my past happenings and where I was, and she said, yeah, kind of confirmed everything that was happening. And then she kind of gave me a bit of pointers because I told her, look, this is how I do it. This is what I've started doing. It's kind of a feeling that I have that this is how it should be done. And she said, you know what, everything that you've told me is 100%. So it's almost like I've remembered something. You know what I mean? No one's actually showed me how to do the healing.
I could remember it from like a past life or
Yeah,
like
so which
or
is actually pretty cool. So
download
yeah,
something.
I've done now 4 hours of healing on my dog so far.
Oh, and how's the dog?
Well, actually, funny enough, you must actually chat to my wife. But there's 2 things I've got to do. I've got to heal the mind and I've got to heal the tail because she chases the tail at it. Like she bites it so badly that it bleeds. And she pulled the tip off the one time. It's like bad.
He's like it.
But
Wow.
yeah, it's been successful. She still chases, but not so bad. It seems to have calmed down a bit. And yeah, she seems a lot calmer. Although she's still doing not as bad though. When she gets hold of it, she doesn't tear it up. It seems to be okay. It seems to be getting better, and I feel. But I'll tell you, the first day I did it, dude, I woke up the next day and I had flu. I was sick.
Oh,
Dude,
wow.
my head, when I went to bed, my head was like boiling, like when you've been in the sun.
Yeah, yeah,
Like if
yeah.
you've been in the sun for too long, your head is like when your pip is sore. And my hands were hot. And I spoke to Renee about it, and she said, yeah, it's because you weren't channeling properly. You were using your own energy. So when that happens, it makes you, it depletes. And a couple of days, the day after that, I was okay. And the day after that, I depleted myself so badly, dude, that I didn't want to go to the gym. I was like, I didn't want to get out of bed.
Oh, wow. So how did she say? How do you channel it from?
No, she said she said just focus more. Focus more. You obviously trying. Also, she said, also remember you're new at it. It's something new. So you'll get to it. It's the process that you're doing is the right process. Just focus a little bit more on being the channel and not using your own energies.
So, okay, so what do you like putting your hands there on the dog and just like concentrating
Well, there's a couple of things that I do. So you know, like when you rub the hands together.
Yeah.
And then you can actually feel that energy that's in between.
Yeah,
so I'd rub
yeah.
it for a while, and then I'd like go and I'd kind of move around the dog to try and find the spots. I'm looking for cold spots on my side. And then what I would do is I'd grab the tail on the one hand, and then I put my hand on the other, on the head, and then I could actually feel the heat from my hand coming off onto the tail. I could actually feel it.
Oh.
And I kind of sit there for about 10-15 minutes, imagining the healing going into, go through the hands, coming from the top and from the ground, from the ground and from heaven, coming down, and then it kind of spreads out into the hands and going and going.
Oh, wow. Okay. Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a bit of a process. It takes me about half an hour every day, but yeah. Not every day,
Okay,
but
well,
the days that I do it, yeah.
yeah, I'd love to check how that goes.
Yeah, cool.
What happens? Yeah, sweet. Lisa, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, awesome, man. Chat tomorrow. Have a good one. Thanks, everybody. Like and
Thanks,
subscribe.
guys.
Hope you enjoyed Joe's episode there. That was very, very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll
very
check
cool.
you guys next week. Thanks, Will.
See ya. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.